Hari Om. We start now. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. We chant sloka 13 onwards. 1-3. Samankaya siro grivam dharayan achalam sthira sampraksha nastika gram swam dhisaschana balokayan prasantatma vigatarvi brahmachari vrate sthitah mana sanyamo nimachitah yukta asita matpara. Sloka 15. Yunjarneva sadatmanam yogi niyata manasa santim nirvana paramam mat sanstam adhigacchati natyasnastastu yogosti na chaikanta manastana na chati swapnasilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Sloka 17. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha yada viniyatam chittam atmannevatistate spruha sarvakamebhyah ta iti chate tada yatha deepo nivatastha nengate sopama smruta yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanah. Hari Om. We are continuing our studies on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. Chapter 6 is Atma Sanyama Yoga. How you can control your own self, own mind. And that is normally referred to as the Dhyana Yoga. The yoga, the chapter is meant for Dhyana. So all that is required for learning how to practice Dhyana is in this chapter. So we have seen what is the purpose of this dhyana and how we can sit, what is the asana and what is the posture that you say, and so many other guidelines are given. Here in sloka 19, what we are saying is how your mind should be at the time of dhyana. Where normally our mind flickers, goes from one place to another, like a monkey, it moves around all over the tree. Same way, our mind jumps around. But here he says, Yatha Deepo Nibatastha. Like a lamp placed in a windless place. Nibatastha means Nibata. Bata means wind. Nibata, no wind. So a place which has no wind. If you keep a lamp without wind, Nengate Sopama Smuda. No ingate, nengate, no ingate. It does not flicker. And this has been used as a sa upama. Upama means a simile or an example. That a lamp burning without flickering, without wind, is a simile or an example utilized for the mind of a yogi or a mind of a person who is in dhyana or samadhi. What is saying? Yogino yata chittasya. A yogi which has yata chitta means whose mind is under control, or yunjata yogamatmana, or he is practicing to become a proper yogi. Either you are already you are an accomplished person, or you are practicing that to come to a state of mind which is not flickering. So, because of when you place a lamp in a location where there is no wind, or you ensure that the wind is not affecting it by putting a glass or something, and the lamp doesn't flicker. So your nibatastha and nangate, na ingate, it doesn't flicker. So this condition is being mentioned here. This condition has two things. One is physical condition. You are ensuring that the lamp does not flicker physically because the wind is not there, or you are protecting it or keeping it in a place where the wind is not there. So that is a physical restraint. Same way, you also restrain your mind physically by intuition, by giving indication to the mind. Don't flicker around. Second thing is, it's an examples of the mind's luminosity. Like the lamp also burns. When it burns, it gives out light. Light also illumines the around the place, around the room where you are sitting. The lamp has got a luminosity. Same way, the mind, the unflickered mind also is luminous. It is also, it gives us light. Means the mind, even though you don't see light inside physical light, but it's a illuminating your mind, illuminating your senses. Because mind is predominantly sattva. If your mind is otherwise, not rajasic or tamasic, that the concentration will not come. So because the mind in this stage is predominantly sattvic mind, then it doesn't flicker around. In such a state, a yogi who is undergoing dhyana is called a yukta. Yukta means he is united. He has already achieved his yoga vyasa. अभ्यास करना पड़ता है. So through the practice, he has achieved certain state where he is able to come to this level of unflickered mind. But there are people also who are practicing, but they have not come to the highest level. There will be people like us. We are trying to sit down for dhyana or samadhi, and still halfway through. So here Bhagavan is saying he is a yunjana. Yunjana means a person who is practicing, is trying to learn yoga vasa. Okay, so there are two words are utilized here. One is a yukta. Yukta is a person who has achieved the yoga vasa, and yunjana is a person who tries to learn the yoga vasa. For both of them, this sloka is applicable. Okay. Now, little more on this. There is one, you must have heard, there is a Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad. And in that Upanishad, there is a Karika called Mandukya Karika by Gaudapadacharya. So in that, there is one Karika 3.6. Yada na liyate chittam acha vikshipyate punaha aninganam anabhasam samparnam brahma tatsada. Yada na liyate chittam nacha vikshipyate punaha aninganam anabhasam samparnam brahma tatsada. So Gaudapada says, when the chitta, the mind, here is a chitta, is a mind. The flame of the chitta should not be extinguished, nor liyate, nor should it flicker. It should not even move within itself. There should be no aham or subtle ego. This state of the mind is called Brahman. So what more he is bringing out here is, we are only talking of the flickering of the mind going here and there. This is the state that we are in. But Gaudapada says, that the chitta should not move here and there. That is one. It also, it should not also move within. That means mind also within it should not move. And that mind also should not be extinguished. That means it should not die, or it should not become like you have a sleeping state. Sometimes you sit down for dhyana, samadhi, then you go to sleep only. I mean, it comes to a stage, no, you are coming to a no thought stage, or you are trying to be without thought, and slowly तुम्हारा ध्यान निकल जाता है, नींद भी आ जाते हैं, you start dozing. So that state also should not come. Moreover, there is another, we'll see that when, if you are coming into, there is a state in susupti avastha, the mind is not there, but still susupti, I'm telling you, when the deep sleep state, the mind is not working, the intellect is not working, but still you are not in samadhi. Again, you come up. Same way, a stage should not come when your mind is, gone to sleep. That is not a yoga. That is not a samadhi. Susupti is not a samadhi or a yoga. So that state should not come during samadhi. That mind is not working at all. The mind should be alert during the samadhi or during the dhyana. Mind should be alert, not flickering, but alert. And that is what is being indicated. And there is another thing I'll tell you. He says there should be no aham or subtle ego. This is a very beautiful topic, because yesterday we were discussing somewhere that who is saying that I am or I exist? Who is saying this? Is the body is saying this? Aham. Who is saying this? The mind is saying this? The body is saying this? Or the Atma is saying, yes, I am? Who is saying this? See, body is not saying I am doing this, I am doing that, I am so happy, or I am so famous, or I have so much money. Who is telling this? Is the body telling this?
Ego.
Yes, ego. Ego is ahankara. And aham is also necessary for anybody to hold on to. Although without ego, body is inert. Atma is niskriya. So Atma cannot tell, nor the body can say. So ego only can hold on. And ego has no presence. Ego has no existence. Ego has nothing. It's only taking the existence from the body and the what do you call sentiency from the Atma. These two he is combining and saying, I am there, I am there, I am happy, I am glad, all that, it's a case of ego. That is the ego. The moment you inquire into the ego will vanish. So in Saddarshanam, he says, ego is nothing. You ask ego, you question him, it will go away. So that's what he's saying here, that there should be no subtle ego also. That ahamkara vritti, that subtlety should be extinguished when you are in samadhi. Otherwise, in samadhi also you will think, oh, I am sitting in samadhi, I am so quiet, I am so happy. So if you think that way, that means I am sitting, that I is existing. Then there is no there is a duality is there. I am existing, I am happy, I am in samadhi. All that thought of I, that is the ego, that is existing. So that is not accepted by acharyas in a samadhi. Samadhi, you should be, that subtle ego also should vanish. Okay. Shankaracharya has made it very clear that when the chitta is as steady as this, then that chitta is called Brahman. What else is Brahman? Brahman is, you don't have the ego, you don't have the mind, so you are that Satchitananda. Okay? Is it very clear? Now we are going one step higher. See? Then normally we think, and in the Yoga Shastras, it is that it should come to a thoughtless state, a mind without thought. But it's difficult, very, very difficult to come without thought, isn't it? How has any one of you have achieved that state of mind, which is a thoughtless state? It's difficult. Even Vedanta also doesn't prescribe that. Vedanta says the mind should come to a Brahmakara vritti. Vritti means thought. Brahmakara vritti means it should be always, the mind should be always covered with the thought of Brahman. Chintan, Brahma Chintan. You should always do the abhruti of Brahman. So, when the mind is in a thoughtless state, so it is established in the Brahman. That in Yoga Shastra, it is called, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is called asapragya or sampragyata samadhi. Sampragyata samadhi or sampragyata samadhi. There are two of them. In the thoughtless state, it is called asampragyata samadhi. But everybody every time doesn't achieve that state. So when the mind is not entirely arrested and is partially arrested state, that means the mind is not flickering so much, but a little bit flickering. That is called sampragyata samadhi. But in Vedanta, the same we accept that dharana dhyana samadhi for our meditation, but that samadhi we say nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is much better than dhyana. Nididhyasana, in that state, when the flame of the mind is without flickering, but it is moving around within the perimeter of the Brahmakara vritti, thought of the Bhagavan, only thought of Bhagavan, or thought of, if you are in a Savikalpa Samadhi, you can think of Bhagavan, his Murti and all that. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you can think of Brahman, but that thought will be limited to the thought of Brahman. But when the mind is flickering, then at the whims and fancies of the mind will go away. How the mind will go away? It will have some sensuous desires. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll enjoy that, I'll have good food, I'll have more money, I'll buy things, all that, so many desires come to mind. So when that type of thought is arrested, then the mind becomes steady. Then the mind is made to contemplate on the self. Self is Brahman, Atma. And that contemplation is contemplation on Brahmakara vritti. As I told you, we can take a mantra or a sloka or a statement somewhere on Bhagavan himself. Then you ruminate over this, think over this again and again, and remain in that thought during that period of samadhi. insert constant thought of Brahman, the eternal, the infinite truth. Concentrate on that, and that is what is the samadhi is. So this is the gist of this sloka. Yatha Deepo Nivakastha. Now we'll move on to the next sloka, sloka number 20. Yatto paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pasyanmatmani tusyati yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra. Yatra means where or when. Uparamate. Uparama means steady. It's attains a quietude, becomes quiet. There where the mind becomes quiet. Yatra uparamate chittam. Chittam means here we take our mind. And the mind, niruddham. Niruddham means restrained. It is controlled. When the mind, there where the mind is restrained or controlled, how it is done that? Yoga sevaya. By practice of yoga. You see, see each word you see, know the meaning, then you will have better understanding. So, yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. By doing the restraining the mind through the process of practice of yoga, yatra saivatma natmanam. This you sandhi, you do the vicheda, yatra cha eva atmana atmanam. Yatra means where, and cha is and, eva is only, atmana by the self. So by yourself, you look after the self fully, atmanam. Atmanam pasyan. Pasyan means by seeing or you are realizing. Pasyan what? Pasyan atmani tusyati. Atmani, saptami vibhakti, that you get satisfied in yourself. Atmani tusyati. Tusyati means tushta ho jata hai. Tusyati means get satisfied. You get satisfied by yourself. You don't have to look after other things. I mean, you don't derive the joy from other objects, but from yourself. So the meaning of this sloka becomes, when the mind, restrained by the practice of yoga, attains quietude, and wherein he sees the self by the self, he is satisfied, he is contented in his own self. So too many times his self is used, but you don't worry about it. But by the self, he himself is doing and getting satisfied in the self only. Okay. That is basic thing is that when you restrain your mind, when you are doing the control of the mind, and you are come to a state when there is, your thoughts are controlled, then you come to a quietude, peaceful state of mind. And then you become happy or you become contented from within without depending on things of the world. This is the meaning of this book. Okay. And let us see a little more detail. Yatra. Yatra uparamate. Yatra means where or when. Where means in that state. It is not on place. It is in which special state. That special state of the mind. That you are saying yatra. In that special state, how that state has come to that state, how you have come, the mind has come to that state, is by constant practice of yoga. Yoga sevaya. Seva is normally meant is seva, means service. The yoga seva here is by practice of yoga. practice, not normal practice of asanas, but practice of yoga means that includes all your Ashtanga yoga. All the levels of Ashtanga yoga has been practiced, and thereby you have restrained your mind. Okay, that means a thorough intensity of practice of yoga is observed. It is not just practicing few asanas and achieving this. No, you have to go through the process of Ashtanga yoga. Okay. So what happens? Chittam niruddham. The mind is restrained. Here he is not saying that mind is absolutely um, uh, thoughtless. Mind is restrained. In the second sutra of Yoga Sutra, he says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Nirodha means restraint. It is not absent of thought, Chitta Vritti. It is not absence. It means it is not without thought. It is restraining the thought. So here he is saying, when and where this thought of the mind is restrained. That means it is contained. It is not going out berserk. So this restrained and controlled mind, if that state comes, what happens? How do you know that? How do you enjoy that? Uparamate. Uparamate means it becomes tranquil. It exists in itself. And without any substance for going around, without any thought for moving around, the mind is at one place. It is like a fire where the oil from the lamp has been finished. That means the fire cannot burn anymore. Okay, like that, the chitta is almost steady and it is tranquil. And that, because of that state of restraint of the mind, the chitta becomes tranquil or peaceful. And that, because restraint or cessation of the modifications of the mind, means modification is what? One thought is there, then it becomes another thought, then it becomes another thought. That's why the chitta prabha hota hai, that it flows. The thought, it requires only a small thread to go to another place, isn't it? So that stops. Then next line is a yatra sa eva atmana atmanam pasyan. And there atmana pasyan. Pasyan means normally the word meaning is seeing, but is also realizing or understanding directly. Directly, why? Because this is an organ of, it's a sense organ. It's a Gyanendriya. Through the Gyanendriya, you can see yourself, or any of the Gyanendriyas can be utilized to realize your state of mind. And all these Indriyas, by Vedanta says, is a valid means of knowledge. You can utilize, you see something, yes, you say this is correct. The knowledge comes through the sense organ, and this is a valid means. So this yogi, he sees the Atmana by himself. What is that self? What is that self? He says the person sees the self within himself. What does it mean? The self is, normally the Paramatma is Brahman, right? That is the pure self. But when you say the self, the individual self, Atma, okay, that Atma and Paramatma we consider as one. Jivatma and Paramatma are one. So that Paramatma and Jivatma being one, this self, what we are saying, that indwelling self, that means the Atma is in me. I have the Atma or Atma, I am in Atma, whatever you call it. Okay, that indwelling self is also the state of consciousness, state of Chetana Shakti that I have in this physical body. That is Atma, isn't it? And that Chetana Shakti is not different from the consciousness or Paramatma that is everywhere. That Atma is not different from the total Paramatma. Okay? And that Paramatma is uh, pure consciousness, which is also non-dual, Advaita, which is also infinite, which is also a state of existence, consciousness, bliss. So this is the state that that Atma that I am talking of me, that is the Atma, not the ego that we are talking. When I say me, myself, is not that ego, but that Atma. Not this physical body, mind, intellect, nor the things of the world, but that Atma is this that self illumining consciousness which is indwelling in myself. Okay? That then he said, Atmana Paschat. Atmana means by the mind. He's saying by the mind. That Atmana Paschati means by the mind is written. Then Atmani Tusyati. In that Atma, he is getting satisfied or getting contented. 2 times it or 3 times is being used. By the mind is seeing or realizing, and in the mind is being contented. Okay? So how come he is realizing this by the mind? So the mind is pure consciousness. Mind is sattva. Why the consciousness or chetana is reflecting the mind or the intellect? Because intellect is the sattvic answer. That's why it reflects there. Chidabhasa is reflecting the mind or the intellect. That is the sattvic answer. It is not rajas, it is not tamas. And um, when it is getting satisfied in the Atmani means in the Atma, it is Tusyati. Tusyati means he remains contented, he is satisfied, he is rejoicing. So he is rejoicing in the Atmani, in the supreme bliss itself, because that is the source of bliss, not elsewhere. So one is not contented in the physical parts of the body. I am not contented in my mind or in the hands or legs or stomach anywhere. I am not contented like this. Nor I am contented with the things I possess. Nor I am contented with the outside objects. Nor I am contented with the um, family, friends, relatives that I have. I am contented only in myself. And that contentment, tusyati, is within the self. I don't need anything, anybody from the world to be happy within. Another way to interpret is this, that once you realize this supreme self, that the Atma and the Paramatma are one, that means you are realizing that that is the Brahma Jnana. Once you realize that, there remains no cause for discontent. Paripurna. That Purnada comes. Once you realize that this is the Atma, this is the Paramatma is one, after that there cannot be discontent, there cannot be dissatisfaction, because there's nothing to be discontented about. I am complete, I am full. That is the nature of myself. Atma or Paramatma, the nature is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. But bliss is happiness itself and infinite bliss. There is no limit to that. Okay. So, what a beautiful sloka. See, basically, what is indicating is that this state of mind does not come um, by all of a sudden from where you can achieve this. It comes through practice of yoga, practice of dhyana, practice of meditation. It's very essential. So one has to know how to meditate. One has to know what to do or what not to do, and how to sit and whatever is given in the chapter, your posture, your seat, all that is given. So you have to practice, and by practice, the practice will result in curtailing your thought flow. If you don't sit down for meditation, by only reading, nothing will happen. You have to practice yourself. So once you are sitting down and becoming peaceful and you are enjoying that happiness, then you will not, your mind will not be inclined towards objects of the world. You don't have to, you need not, your mind will not tell that, oh, I'll go to this shop, that mall or something, I'll buy that. Dil nahi karega. You will not feel like going to the market and buy something because most of the things are not required. And આજકાલ the whatever is required, you can shop online also. So you don't have to go out to fulfill your desires because you are already desireless, you are already contented. And the mind starts looking at itself and you feel content within yourself. So Atmani Tushyati, you get contented within yourself. That indulgence of our sense organs is not required. Because you always indulge, no? Something nice to see, some good food to taste, or some nice music to listen, so that I'll feel good, I'll be happy. But if you are happy from within, then why you have to look for all these things? So this sense utilization of sense organs is not a means for becoming happy for a person who is already contented within himself. Atmanam Pasyan means the person, the contentment is not derived from outside but from within. The person in yoga is immersed in the supreme bliss from within himself. Within himself, by himself, and through the self only. So this is the gist of the sloka here. We'll end the class. Hari Om.